Narayan, is that the critical issue? Could that have resolved it if this decision had not been taken, according to some, in a top-down manner, not by the central high command, but it had been taken at the level of the state assembly? But could the state assembly is completely divided along lines of Simandra versus Telangana. So what is the solution? How do you respond to the aspirations of the Telangana people and the concerns of the Simandra people?
Rajdeep.
Yes.
Rajdeep, the solution certainly does not lie in an emperor or empress giving a fiat and the rest of the country accepting as vassals. We are a federal republic, for heaven's sake. We cannot convert this into a unitary country. You cannot bypass the state legislature.
Right.
I have begged so many times in the legislature, let this be discussed.
Right.
This is a white elephant in the room. You cannot pretend it doesn't exist. Let's discuss honestly. Yes. Let's discuss as long as it takes. Let's come out with all the issues, come up with an amicable agreement. And the third issue is, Rajdeep, it doesn't matter what decision we make in a complex federal democracy, the decisions that we made. But if you want to divide a cake, if you and I have to share a cake, supposing I am asked to decide to cut that cake into two, and then I have the first piece, you always lose out. There must be at least an equity in balancing this whole issue. If I get my say in dividing the state or in keeping the state united, the other party must get its say in getting what it believes is necessary. Even minimum equity is not being followed. There is a total political approach, short-term partisan approach. And finally, Rajdeep, there is a dangerous game played by everybody all around now. Telangana movement, they used employees as cannon fodder. Andhra movement today, Rayalaseema and Coastal Andhra, they are using employees as cannon fodder. For heaven's sake, if you make employees so politicized, instead of political parties and civil society taking the role, you have hell to pay tomorrow. This whole issue is built on lies. The parties wanted to win power at any cost, getting just a few percentage of votes, and that's how Congress fell into the trap in 2004, TDP in 2009, converted a fringe issue into a mainstream issue. Now they're pretending that, look, we have no easy solution. They created a problem in the first place. They didn't care a damn about the consequences. They played with fire, and India is paying the price. Telugu-speaking people are paying the price.
Can I get KTR? Are you all playing with fire somewhere, KTR? Respond to what Jayaprakash Narayan is saying. It's the Aam Aadmi who's suffering in both the parts of Andhra Pradesh today. The fact is there are power outages. There is now animosity where there was once brotherhood. How do you now break out of this trap?
Well, firstly, Rajdeep, well, there's never been this so-called unity and brotherhood that we keep hearing about all the time, and I strongly object to JP's equating this issue with cake and how it can be cut into pieces and one has to get the equitable portion, etc. My whole point is, Rajdeep, this is reinstatement of status quo that existed for 8 long years, from 1948 until 1956, as a separate state. Telangana is not being formed as a new state. It is being demerged from Andhra. In fact, this merger of Andhra and Telangana, I have referred earlier to also, was a conditional merger. It was never considered eternal. So therefore, now that the conditions have been flouted, Telangana is being reinstated. So let's not get into this whole equation of equity and cake cutting, etc.
In the case of Hyderabad, for example, is it not pitting people from Simandra versus people from Telangana within the capital of Hyderabad? Was it necessary to do it in this manner, or are you saying this is the only way in which this decision could have been taken? Could there not have been a better way in convincing people on both sides?
Let me ask you something. We've been hearing throughout the show today that this decision was taken in the election year. I would like to remind you that right after the 2009 election, about 6 months into this government, the decision was made that Telangana will be created. It's been 3.5 years since then, and now the decision has been revisited after numerous committees and meetings and all-party delegations going to Delhi and coming back to Hyderabad.
Yes.
After a lot of consultations, the decision has been reached at. So, in spite of so much exercise, in spite of so many consultations, if we still call it a ham-handed decision, if we still call it a hasty decision in an election year, I strongly object to it.
Jayaprakash Narayan, final word. Do you see any way to bridge this divide? Both you and KTR are just on inches away from each other on the television screen, but seem to be miles away at the moment, in your opinion. Is there a way to bridge this divide, yes or no?
No, not at all, Rajdeep. There's nothing intractable. We are a very complex federal country with many diversities. So far, the country has managed them well. In this case, we bungled terribly, let's all face it. Together, we bungled very badly. KTR may have a political advantage today, therefore he may take a certain position. But truthfully, the way it's done is horrible. It's not important whether Telangana is created or not created. The way it's created, the way it sets a trend for the country, the way the anger now today is boiling over, and the way this could lead to a national disunity in itself. If tomorrow this becomes a cause to create another Punjab, that's the worst thing we could do for the country. Therefore, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's do it in a decent manner by building a consensus in the country. And we have to have equal dissatisfaction everywhere. Equal satisfaction and dissatisfaction. You cannot have a situation where 40% or not even 40 actually, 25% of the people or 30% of the people are happy. 10% of Telangana people are deeply unhappy. You have 60% of the rest of the state deeply unhappy. You can't have this. You must have equal dissatisfaction, the feeling that we have been treated fairly, KTR, and let there be division on that basis. But after genuine deliberation, not this kind of mock consult. There is no real consultation. If that's the case, people will not win the streets.
KTR, you're not willing to wait for that, right? No, KTR, you're not willing for
no, I strongly object. Yes. I strongly object to the statistics being espoused by Jayaprakash, because I don't know where he gets his numbers from. He talks of a situation where 30% of Telangana is happy and 10% is very unhappy. I'm not sure where he's getting his numbers from. I would like to remind Jayaprakash Narayan. Yes. I would like to remind Jayaprakash Narayan that out of the 42 parties that have representation in Parliament today, more than 35 have given letters in support to the Telangana issue. So there is already a wider consensus, widely arrived at consensus. So there's no further need to delay this decision anymore. Let's not go back to square one again and restart the whole process.
One last word.
Unless you want Telangana to simmer again.
Yes. One last word. Yes.
How many? One last word. If you are a federal country, Parliament cannot ride roughshod over a state. You have to take the state along with you. Tomorrow you cannot create 100 municipalities in India in the name of states. If you are really federal, the state must have a say. You cannot simply say, I will do whatever I want just because in Parliament I manufacture the majority. The state must consent, otherwise you are breaking up India eventually. This will yet become the festering sword that could become another Kashmir. We can't handle that.
Can Telangana be formed without a state resolution?
One last point.
Yes.
One last point, absolutely. In fact, this is exactly the situation that the authors of the Constitution had envisioned. This is exactly the situation where a tyranny of majority over minority had to be avoided, and that's why the authors of the Constitution were foresighted enough to see through the design, and therefore they've vested the power to create a new state with the union government and not with the state. Because the people and the region and the rulers that we call the oppressors, if we ask them to give a no objection certificate to us, that's never going to come through.
JP is like Obama. All he can do is talk and give numbers. But in the end, Obama turned out to be another Bush. Beware. What is his stand on Telangana, by the way?
It's not what the decision is, that's not important.
You believe there was never a need for a division, Jayaprakash Narayan? No. Are you saying that the Congress has played with the sentiments of the people for a few seats in the next election?
At one stage, there is no question about it. There was no need for division. A fringe issue is converted into a mainstream issue and a central issue.
During the Telangana movement, JP's stand was, if state is divided, there is no gain. If state is not divided, there is no loss. He played safe. JP is as politically opportunistic as any other politician.
KT Rama Rao, you're hearing there from Jayaprakash Narayan, one of the wisest men in Andhra Pradesh today, saying this is a very ham-handed manner in which it's being done.
Well, Rajdeep, in situations like these, even the wisest of men sometimes are not above, regional affiliations and regional feelings.
JP is from Simandra region, by the way. Telangana members of his Lok Satta party separated to form Telangana Lok Satta party. Read his party's official position on Telangana and see for yourself how diplomatic and opportunistic he is. Link is in description below.